Fist flying, no bounds. Podcast kings, we pound for pound. UFC thrills, spills, nights get loud. Big EQB, that's how we get down.
Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the GRP. Back at it again on a Thursday, ready to go for this weekend's UFC Fight Night at the Apex, the Meta Apex, the wonderful, fantastic, infamous Meta Apex. I hate saying Meta Apex. It just sounds dumb. Apex was bad enough, but Meta Apex is annoying. So maybe we'll just stick to Apex alone. I forgot to turn on the light. I just realized that. That's a damn shame. But I'm not getting up to do it now, so we'll just let it sit there and be unlit. Anyway, what's going on, everybody? It's just it's one of those off weeks, man. It's one of those off weeks because there's not a lot of hype around this card. Apex is the best arena in the world. That's hilarious. What was I saying? I shouldn't down on it. I wouldn't mind seeing a fight there because the things that I've heard that are positive, I would say make me intrigued to actually watch a fight there. So I wouldn't turn it down. You know what I'm saying? Like if I had a chance to go, I wouldn't turn it down just to be able to experience it for myself. So then maybe I would just be talking shit for no reason. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. As far as like for the overall aspect of the sport and everything included, I feel like it's just not the best thing. But hey, what's up? All is good. Thank you. Appreciate you for jumping in as well. Thank you for interacting and thank you for watching and supporting as always. Johnny, what's up, man? Thanks for making me laugh right off the bat with the Apex stuff. Have you seen the Edwin Diaz walkout? I have not. What am I missing? I've been a little out of sorts this week because that's what happens when the card isn't great, man. I hate to say it because, you know, I'm such a big fan, but you don't mind paying those expensive ticket prices? No, that's the reason why I don't go. That's why I said if I had the opportunity, I wouldn't turn it down. But I don't know that I'd make my way over there on purpose. It would have to be like a fantastic fight or some reason I had a chance to go. But I don't know that I would go just to choose to go. Yeah, because those prices are ridiculous, and they're just going to keep getting worse. Kind of like gas prices these days. I fucking hate getting into that right now. But holy shit, bro. What is happening? I'm so happy I don't have to pay for the gas in my work vehicle. But damn, when I looked at the price today, I'm like, what the fuck is happening here? But I don't really want to get into all that. That just makes me depressed. But yeah, the ticket prices for the UFC is why I don't go. It's ridiculous. And I mean, if I go, I want to have the couple times I've gone and watched fights in Phoenix have been pretty good. And we've had decent seats. So 3,000 for this for seats in the nosebleed. Yeah, that's when they are everywhere else. In the Apex, I don't think that, I mean, that's obviously not the case because there is no nosebleeds because they have very minimal seating. They're going to have more soon, I think, or they already do. I'm not sure. You'll have to hit my electric car. I know, Infinity. Hey, listen, I'm the one that probably gives you the least amount of shit. Because, yeah, it is what it is. I mean, when it comes down to it, yes, the $1,000 for 2 decent seats at Seattle, Jesus. That is crazy, man. That's crazy. $75 for cheeseburger, french fries, and milkshake. Oh, I don't doubt that. Sun is still sunning. Yeah. You know, fuck, man. I just, yeah, those prices are crazy, bro. And they just like, it just keeps going up, man. For fucking everything, honestly. I'm just like, now I just sound like an old man just complaining about shit. Yeah, whatever. I guess you gotta be what you gotta be. On a fucking lighter note, before I get too far into anything, I know I'm gonna hit up the sponsor here in just a minute, as always. Oh, chat's not scrolling. Oh, damn. What's happening here? You're right. I'm not seeing it. What is going on? let me try to fix that real quick because, hey, you didn't have to add that extra part in there, Infinity. Damn. Hold on. Let me. Yeah, why isn't the chat on the screen? Let me find out. Chat. That didn't work. Hold on. I do want to fix that because I don't know how I didn't notice it wasn't there. Yeah, that's true, Infinity. Let's see. Why is the chat not going? What's happening? You know, I've never had this happen. So that kind of sucks. Only the 1% can buy things nowadays. I mean, you're actually not too far off on that one. I've never had this happen. What the hell's going on? Like when you had no audio. Yeah, that sucks, man. I don't want to just say fuck it because I want the chat going, but for some reason it's not seeing it. So let me go here. Let me find out. I wish this would have happened before because then I might have had an opportunity to would have had the opportunity to actually have fixed it before. Usually I don't have any problems with it at all, so that's why it's kind of funky. Oh, you know what? I wonder if no, I have the pop-out screen going. So that's strange. Okay. We might have to go without the chat on the screen today. That's whack. I don't like that because I actually yeah, I'm in the app right now and I'm actually looking at it right now and I do not see. So my, you know, the ones that pop up on the screen that you can see at the bottom of the screen down there, that's a whole different app. And that one's working fine. I know how to fix that one because that one's gone out before. But this one is on Stream Element and I've never had it not work. So that's kind of crazy. Let me see if oh, let me try this. I just remembered something. Let me go here. Let me clear this out. Sorry for the disruption, guys. I'm just trying to fix the chat so y'all can see what's going on the screen. Okay. Let's see. Hey, somebody type one more thing on there for me. Let's see if it pops up now. Hopefully. Waiting. Hold. Waiting. Somebody, anybody? Somebody type something. One more thing. Perfect. Okay. Arizona iced tea. Well, that didn't work. That's a damn shame. Shit, man. I'm sorry, guys. This sucks. I hate that it's not working. And that makes the visuals a little bit worse because, you know, I have a box for the chat on purpose. So it's kind of whack that it's not working. Let's hope that at some point in time, it starts to work. That would be awesome. But for now, unless I'm going to spend all my time on this, which I don't want to, I would say we're just going to have to skip it, which is kind of shitty. But I've tried reapplying the website and it's not working. Okay, or the web address, it's not working. So yeah, that sucks. But anyway, thanks for pointing it out, Infinity. At least I tried. But let's get to it. Again, what I was getting into was before we go too far, I just wanted to take a minute to talk about tomorrow. So everybody, tomorrow I'll be live again, same channel. I will have the chat. I gotta have the chat fixed by then because this ain't gonna work. But I will have the chat going, and we're gonna. I'll be live again tomorrow at 5 p.m. Arizona time. So just if you're subscribed already, hit that notification bell, and you'll know when I go live. But it'll be basically 2 hours earlier than normal time. So whatever time it is for you right now, it'll be 2 hours earlier, and I'll be live with Infinity, who's in the chat right now. He's going to be interviewing me here on this channel, kind of a reverse interview thing. If any of you caught the one that me and him did where I interviewed him for his channel. He's doing that with me. So we'll be doing that tomorrow at 5 p.m. Arizona time. So it'll be 2 hours earlier than the normal time of the show if you pay attention to that. So just hit that notification bell so you'll get a notification when we go live. So get your questions together if you got any questions for me, because if there's anything you want to know that, I mean, obviously I will pick and choose the ones I want to answer. I'm just kidding. I'll answer whatever to a reasonable extent. So we'll just say it that way. But yeah, if you guys have any questions that you've wanted to ask about the show, about me, about stuff that I like within the sport, it'll just be fun. So, you know, it'll be like an hour tops. And Infinity's been doing well with his interviewing skills because he was trying to work on that and stuff. And he's done well. And his last interview was really good. And we've been trying. He's been wanting to do this for a minute. I was in back and forth whether I wanted to do it. I'm just being straight up. And then I decided, well, you know, what's the harm? I mean, who cares? If you guys want to ask me any questions tomorrow, then you can do that, and there'll be plenty of time to do that, and we'll be going through a bunch of different stuff. So it'll be cool. And you get an extra day of content from me, and obviously we'll talk about stuff when it comes to the sport and the UFC and stuff like that, because that's what this is all about, and that's why I have this show. So just be on the lookout for it. Get your questions ready for tomorrow, and be ready to check it out when it goes live at 5 p.m. Arizona time. And just get that notification bell set, and you will get a notification when we get started. So one last attempt here to try to refresh this chat that still isn't working, which is kind of whack. But it is what it is. I guess there's not much I can do about it. So we're going to go ahead and skip that. Yeah, we're going to skip that because I can't do anything. It sucks. But yeah, we'll get to the show. So yeah, just be prepared for that. I'll remind you again before we get out of here. So yeah, let me give a shout out to my sponsors as well, or my sponsor, Noctane Smelling Salts, of course. Always got to hit up the Noctane. I keep forgetting to hit up and hit them up and get me a new bottle, but I will do that soon because I have to for this long drive I have coming up ahead of me next month. So for now, I'm gonna get the best out of this. Let's hit these smelling salts and get to it. Oh, okay. Put your nose in it a little bit. Oh, woo! That was a good one. Red Cap, most potent bottle. Different potencies, different scents. Hit up that QR code or the link in the description below. It's always there. And you can check out my sponsor and try out their products. They support me, so, I like to support them and give them some promo. And send you guys over there if you want to try out some smelling salts. It's keeps you awake and alert. Lots of different uses for it. So check it out. Thanks, Noctane, for the sponsorship. All right, so let's get into it before everybody gets bored and goes away. Sorry for the chat not being on the screen. Hopefully it'll pop up, but I'll try to have that ready to go for tomorrow. Nate Diaz, man.
I'm not surprised, motherfuckers.
There you go, Nate Diaz for you.
What's happening with you, man?
All right, let's get to it and get started. Yo, Antoine, what's up? Oh, yeah. I saw that you were on. I didn't get a chance to check it out today, but welcome in. Appreciate you. I just talked about the reverse interview we're doing tomorrow, so be ready for that. It'll be on at 5 p.m. Arizona time, so 2 hours earlier than we're on right now, just as a recap, but I'll go over it again before we leave just to remind you. So right now my day is kind of shitty because the chat won't pop up on the screen. Don't know why. It's being stupid. I'm kind of annoyed by that, and I kind of wish that it would start working. So let's see. I'm checking one more thing to see if I can get it to work, and that's a negative. All right. Anyway, Gucci Mane got robbed and kidnapped in Texas. Oh, damn. That's crazy as shit. Oh, man. All right, let's get to the pod and really get to everything we're here to talk about. And I did kind of forget to talk about this on Sunday because on Saturday they announced that Demetrious Johnson is getting inducted into the Hall of Fame. So yeah, it's definitely well deserved and you know, overdue for Mighty Mouse to get into the UFC Hall of Fame. Obviously, we know that he ended his career over at One Championship, where he became a champion over there, as well as the amount of times that he was the champion over at the UFC. Most title fight wins in UFC flyweight history with 12. Longest reigning flyweight champion in UFC history. And he was the inaugural UFC flyweight champion, which means he came in, won that, or got that championship right off the bat, and was pretty much hoarding it the whole time. I got the hiccups. So yeah, he was you know, people weren't so interested in his fights because they're lighter weight guys. I feel like he was an exciting fighter, but people just weren't into the lighter weight fighters at the time. The amount of times that he defended his title, you know, at one point in time, everyone was just kind of like tuning in to see when are we going to get, you know, when is he going to get beat, basically, because he was winning so much. But he just never got beat the entire time he was, you know, he was there, for the most part. I think at the end he did get beat by Triple C. Hey, what's up, welcome in, appreciate you. But you think DJ's record will ever be broken? I don't know, man. I don't know, because I feel like his record that he held is just so lengthy. We don't see those kind of dominating performances or dominating reigns from champions. I mean, yeah, eventually, like Infinity said, maybe, but I don't know, because we just the sport has to go back to, or the UFC has to go back to the times when we had long-standing champions. Because nowadays you get a guy that gets a title and either wants to right away jump up and get a second title, or defends once or twice and then says, fuck it, let's go for title number 2. Now it's a matter of race to see who can get 3 titles in 3 different divisions, and that's not the most interesting way to go about it. So I just feel like it's inevitable that a record could get broken. If the UFC, you know, sticks around for a very long time, then it could definitely be broken eventually. I would see, but it's tough because, you know, it was just so long. 11 title defenses is crazy. And you know, that is just a record that's outstanding. I mean, look at this is a sick ass picture of him with all of these belts. 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's only 10. So, you know, he defended one more time after this picture was taken. And, you know, back then they used to give him a belt for, I think he said he got almost every single belt. But they were giving away belts every time you defended, instead of just putting a ruby or whatever you want to put on it. So that, you know, that made it interesting back then too. But him and Anderson Silva had impressive win streaks with defending titles, and it's just tough to know if anybody could ever come in and do that again. Especially with the amount of time that he held that title, and then he went on to One Championship and wins a title there as well. Now he came back and got beat, but you know, he left still being the champion because he got his revenge and was able to retire on top. So, you know, he lost the title fight to Adriano Moraes, who's going to be fighting on the MVP card coming up, but he lost the title fight to him, and then he comes back, rematches, and beats Moraes almost the same way that Moraes beat him, And then he comes back and defends that title against Moraes one more time, and then that's when he retired. So, you know, that top picture there is typical, you know, Mighty Mouse celebration, and then him with the one championship belt there. So had to get those pictures in there because I like them. Who would you have it in prime, DJ versus Pantoja? I think DJ wins. I really do. Yeah. I enjoy his podcast too. He does have a podcast. You know, he was doing it with MMA Guru for a little while, but Guru was a little too wild for him. I talked about the, you know, the breakup of that. But DJ definitely is interesting, and has a lot of interesting guests on, including people other than fighters. Like he had a streamer. I watch a lot of IRL streaming. I don't know. I mean, I know that seems weird for me and my age, but I do watch a lot of streaming, and that's because I learn a lot from it, honestly. But I don't know if anybody knows who Agent Zero is. He's from AMP, who is Kai Cenat's group of streamers. And Agent is somebody that I've watched for a while now. He had Agent on his podcast, and it was actually really interesting to see Agent in that form on a podcast talking, and him and DJ got along well, and it was interesting. So go check that out if you want. I mean, I think that was like a month ago, but it was a good one. How do you feel about the side of MMA fandom, content creators that disrespect fighters for clicks? Yeah, the Braves are definitely looking good so far. Side of MMA fandom, content creators that disrespect. So I think it's a mixed bag of things, because yeah, I mean, if you're really just doing it for clicks, then that's whack. I think there's a certain extent that you take things that you're doing it just for the clicks. It's kind of stupid and annoying, but that is how the algorithm, that is how these platforms are based, unfortunately, is getting those clicks. The reason why that stuff manifested into the craziness that it is now of clickbait is because that's what worked, and that's what the algorithm pushes, and it sucks. It really does suck. In real life, for people in the back. Oh, yeah. So, you know, it's one of those things. Oh yeah, Agent did lose a ton of weight. He lost like 100 pounds. It was crazy. Yeah, so he's one of those guys. He's a really influential type dude. I mean, he's a little silly sometimes, but all these streamers are. But it's interesting to watch the types of things that he does. He makes a shit ton of money. He's sponsored by Jordan. It's crazy. It's crazy. These streamers get a lot of stuff out of what they do. And while you think it's easy, if you know what goes on in the background, if you pay attention and listen to what they say, you realize a lot of difficulty is immersed within that realm of content creation. So the clickbait shit is short-term gain. They don't last. That's true, but some people springboard they springboard their content career off of clickbait. That's kind of what the Paul brothers did, to a certain extent. I wouldn't say completely, but yeah. Now there's no chat. What do you mean? Oh, are you talking about the pop-up one? Yeah, it's because I turned that one off. Yeah, I turned that one off with these other ones, but I can pop that back up now since it's not working. Here, we'll put it over here. So that way it can actually be seen. There we go. I had it hidden because there was really no room on the page to make it look clean, but since there's no chat that's scrolling, we'll put that there. There we go. Thanks for the heads up, Infinity. That's actually a good shout. Appreciate that. But anyway, yeah, so DJ is gonna be in the Hall of Fame now, so that's awesome. Damn, I gotta get this centered now. It's bugging me. There we go. We'll leave it there. Okay, so yeah, DJ going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, and that's awesome. So International Fight Week, we'll see him. We'll get a speech from him and stuff like that. So yeah, check that out. That'll be cool. And congrats to DJ. I just want to give him a shout out because he is a badass. He's one of the greats. I would say he's definitely on my Mount Rushmore for all those that like to ask about Mount Rushmores. Do you view fighters in the fight wing as full-on Hall of Famers? No, I think you got to be in there. I think you're sure your fight is in the Hall of Fame and you get kind of treated that way, but I feel like a Hall of Famer, a true full-on Hall of Famer is somebody who's in there for themselves, not shared with anybody else. That's just my opinion. I feel like, yeah, you're a part of the Hall of Fame if your fight is inducted into the Hall of Fame, but I don't know that that I consider somebody a Hall of Famer just because their fight is in there. So considering all the fighters who never put on a banger of that magnitude, yeah, but it's just like, you know, you could be 2 years, I mean, you could be 2 years into the game and then, you know, and maybe I don't know how long they wait before they put fights in. So that, I guess that's a thing too. Hardest Hall of Fame to make, I don't pay attention that much, unfortunately, so I can't really answer that one to a proper extent. I hate to say it, but yeah, I just don't know. I don't really pay attention enough to know, so I don't necessarily have a answer for that one. So if you think the MLB is, that might be the right answer, because you seem to have good knowledge on it, Antoine, so I trust your opinion on that one. But anyway, moving on from Mighty Mouse, we have some boxing happening this weekend, and I gotta move this one too because this one is out of sight as well. Actually, there it is. So let me move that. We'll move that down here, and at least you'll get to see that. It's a little out of place today, but you know, like I said, hopefully I will have that other one fixed up tomorrow and we won't have this problem. So yeah, we got MVP, WMVP, I guess you could say, for the women's boxing match happening this weekend. All women's card. Caroline Dubois is fighting Terry Harper for the main event. Ellie Scottney versus Mayeli Flores in the co-main. Chantel Cameron fighting Michaela Kotaskova. And then Irma Garcia versus Emma Doolin. So that is your MVP women's boxing card happening this weekend. Let me try to see real quick. I wanted to see who else was on this card. Let's see. Courtney versus Booker, Watson. Yeah, I don't recognize too many more of these names. I thought it was an all women's card, but it looks like in the very beginning of the card, there's a couple of men's fights happening as well. So, damn it, Vinny. How do you feel about MVP so far? Do you think they'll be a real competitor in MMA or boxing, or what do you mean? I feel like in MMA we don't know yet. That's just, it's too early. In boxing, I feel like they're making a splash and they're doing a good thing, especially for the women involved. You got to give them props for that. There's, you know, when it comes down to it, what they're doing for women's boxing is great, and I think that they're putting together some good matchups. So I feel like it's a good thing, and I feel like MVP is actually making a name for themselves all over the place in combat sports. And with this new venture into MMA, what's up, Christian? How you doing? Appreciate you for jumping in. Sorry about the chat on the screen not working. I'll say that to anybody new that jumps in. Hopefully I'll have that working tomorrow. But yeah, so I feel like MVP is doing good things for combat sports in general, if they're doing everything that they say they're doing. I haven't heard any complaints yet. I haven't seen anybody go against everything that everything that Jake Paul is claiming to be doing. So it sounds like everyone seems to be happy fighting for MVP. So far so good, and I think that's a good thing. And especially if they keep it up for women's boxing, which seem to be kind of not so interesting, and people just kind of ignoring it, you know, and they're really bringing the women up and showcasing them, and I think that's awesome. There's a lot of good women boxers out there that put on good fights. So if you're into it, check it out. MVP this weekend on Sunday, April 5th in London. I don't know what time it's happening here, though. I should have checked that out. Let me see if I can find that time here in the States. 12 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. 12 p.m. Eastern. Okay, so it's going to be during the day here in the States. So, but it is Sunday, so at least we know that much. Anyway, some more boxing happening. We got Deontay Wilder versus Chisora. Derek Chisora, sorry. I couldn't remember his damn first name. But we got that fight happening this weekend as well. You know, that's Deontay Wilder's always a fun guy to watch fight. He's got big power, and you know, we've seen him in wars with Tyson Fury, and he's had some other really good fights. So that's happening this weekend as well. I believe that one is happening on Saturday. Let me double check. Yeah, Saturday on DAZN. So I think you have to pay for that one. But Wilder's career, did you ever consider him to be high level? See, I just don't follow boxing that closely. I wish I did. But you know, I feel like he's one of those guys that, yeah, I mean, he is high level because his power and you know, he's got the skill. He's got enough skill to carry that power, but maybe against the super elite in his division, maybe not so much. I mean, I think he's only lost 4 fights, but you know, he's had some tough times. And in boxing, you know, you lose one fight and people start downing on you. But 3 out of those 4 fights, I mean, those 4 fights have all been in since 2020. He's lost 4 fights and only won 2. You know, that Robert Helenius fight was a good one that he got the win on, and then against Tyrell Herndon, he beat him as well by TKO. So yeah, but the fights with Fury were interesting and fun to watch, especially that first one. So I mean, he's had some great fights. He was on a roll until he met up with Tyson Fury, which is a super elite boxer in the heavyweight division. So for me, I feel like he's high level. It's just you know, when it comes to the real elite that have the all around skill and not just power, I feel like he lacks in that level. From what I know of him, I feel like he's a little bit sloppy, a little bit you know, not so tuned into you know, just the fundamental skill set. I feel like his power is what carries him, and when he, you know, it turns into a war is when he's very lethal. But if you can box him up, then that kind of keeps him down a little bit. Is he losing his chin, you think? Maybe so, because I think that those wars with Tyson Fury definitely put a number on him, and maybe just age and you know, so many fights. He's got like 49 fights. So he is 40 years old as well. So I mean, that says a lot too. He's got the age too. But yeah, that power, that reach on him, like Infinity's saying, he's sloppy but tall and strong. That stuff matters, man, and especially in the heavyweight division. But like I said, a real technical fighter can pick him apart. So I consider him high level to a certain extent, but I don't have the deepest knowledge on boxing, so don't hold me to it too much. Derek Chisora is on a 3-fight win streak right now. He beat Gerald Washington, Joe Joyce, and Otto Wallin was his last fight, where he's won all 3 by decision. So that is that's a big difference. He actually lost to Tyson Fury as well by TKO in the 10th round, and Deontay Wilder's lost to Tyson Fury twice. So, oh shit, Antoine. Let me get that for you.
Smoke weed every day.
Boxing my joint, and he would not beat old school fighters. Oh, got you. I wonder if AJ fights ever again. I think he will. I don't know if you've seen any of the content out there with him and Alexander Usyk, but I feel like you know, Usyk's kind of being his hype man right now, and it seems like AJ's really, you know, training and stuff like that. So I think he comes back. We'll just see how he comes back, you know, considering everything that's happened to him. So as far as Wilder, like I said, he's coming off a KO win in the 7th round over Herndon, and his last fight was a KO win as well to Helenius. So with Chisora going to decision in his last 3 fights, he is on a 3-fight win streak though. But with those wins all being by decision, we'll see how this fight winds up, and we'll see if Wilder can use that power to get the finish, or if Chisora takes him into deep waters and beats him with technique. That might seem to be the best, the way that this could go. So all right, let's move on to this UFC fight night. UFC Vegas 115, and we have Renato Moicano versus Chris Duncan happening in the main event. Oh no, what'd I do here? Why'd I do that? Oh well. Let me get back to my page, because I messed that up too. It's just a great night for technology tonight for me. It's okay, no big deal. It's Thursday. You know, this fight card is not the best, especially when we're coming off of the kind of fight card we had last week. That's what happens when you get those really great cards, is, you know, the follow-up cards, they have to live up to something, right? And this time it's gonna be tough. Yeah, I saw that, Antoine. I saw that. I didn't get to watch any of it though, but yeah, I saw. I mean, it seems like a lot of people. I think, Antoine, you said you're liking UFC BJJ right now, but it doesn't seem like a lot of people are into it. I haven't heard a lot of great things. Maybe you just have to be a real jiu-jitsu guy to really enjoy it. I haven't watched any of the events all the way through, but yeah, I've heard mixed reviews on it. So yeah, it's tough. And then when it kind of, you know, springs up on you out of the blue like this one did, that tells me something. There's just not a whole lot of promotion going on for it. I mean, the UFC is really good at promoting shit, but I mean, I saw some stuff throughout the week. I like Zuffa Boxing way more for sure. Yeah, that makes sense. Would you rather have one spectacular card a month or 4 decent cards? How about one spectacular card a month and at least 2 decent cards? That's what I would like. And then we can have that one dud in between. I don't care. But if we could have the majority of them be decent at least, that would be fantastic. They don't all have to be great, but it would be nice to have one outstanding card a month and then the rest be at least decent, instead of something like this one. Now, here's the thing. You know, Renato Moicano is a fun fighter to watch fight. Chris Duncan's fun as well, but it's not anything. It's not like, you know, world-stopping entertainment. You know what I mean? For being at the top of the card. And then when you look at the supporting cast, as in the rest of the fights, that's what makes it tough, and that's what makes things get a little messy. So that's the only reason why I feel like that about this card. Now, sometimes these cards turn out to be some of the best cards out there, so maybe they will hold up to what happened last week. We had 9 finishes last week. All of the entire main card, that's hard to live up to. The entire main card were all finishes. So that makes it tough to follow up, because when you have that many finishes on a card, you don't get that very often, much less multiple times in a row. And I feel like UFC 327, we are not lucky enough to have 3 really fantastic cards in a row. So I would prefer this one to live up to the non-hype it's getting and just be a mediocre card in order to get 327 to be a fantastic card. I would prefer that. So I'm okay if this one is lackluster. It's not a big deal. Did you have a favorite WWE wrestler? Not really. I guess when I was a kid, I liked Hulk Hogan because he was in a few movies that I watched. Didn't like him as much when I grew up, but when I did watch a little further down the road, when I was a little bit older, I liked Rob Van Dam, and I liked Rey Mysterio, and I liked the Hardy Brothers. I did watch Sting. I didn't like him too much. I thought he was kind of cringe at times, but cool at the same time with the face paint and the, you know, stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, I did like some of the WWE stuff, but I just didn't get into it that much. But yeah, I think the Hardy Brothers were some of the ones that I liked a lot. I mean, because I liked Lita too. Lita was like, damn, back in the day. But yeah, that was just a little phase. Anyway, so yeah, let's get into this card. When did you first start watching MMA? Fuck, I don't remember. That's a tough one. I'll try to figure that out, and I'll answer that tomorrow, because I've tried to figure it out before, but I'll actually try to get a good idea of what roundabout time that was, because that, I mean, it's just so long ago. 2011. Okay, yeah, I definitely started before that. 2006 sticks in my mind, but I think it was a little before that even. But like I said, I'll look at some events from back then and see what I remember, and I'll get a more distinct answer tomorrow. Anyway, let's get into, I always start bottom to the top, so let's get into these prelims and check out the prelims for UFC Vegas 115. And we got, starting off, Kai Kamaka versus Dakota Hope. And we got Dakota Hope making his UFC debut versus a vet in Kai Kamaka, who is, well, not really a vet, but, you know, he's got a little more experience. He's 1-2 in the UFC, 17-7 overall. And Dakota Hope is 11-1 overall, and obviously doesn't have any fights in the UFC. Coming in, making his debut. Kamaka's obviously more experienced, like I said. A lot of high output for Kamaka, and I think this is his comeback to the UFC, because I think he was out of the UFC for a little bit, if I remember correctly. Yeah, he fought in Tough Enough for a little while, and he was in PFL for a minute, Bellator. So that's why I was thinking he was a vet, because I knew that he fought in the UFC before, and it's been a while. His last fight in the UFC was in 2021. So he had a bunch of other fights in Bellator, PFL, and Tough Enough. He was actually scheduled to fight in the GFL when obviously that went away. But he's coming off a win by TKO in the 3rd round, and he'll be fighting a UFC debut for Dakota Hope, he's 29 years old, so he's not that young, but he's 1-0 in LFA, 3-0 in peak fighting, and he fought in Fury, where he's on a pretty big win streak. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wins in a row, coming into the UFC, fighting his first fight in the UFC. What? That is a weird thing. Okay. What? Christian? That threw me off. What are you saying? Hold on. Let me get I just realized I didn't have the chat pop up on this one. So at least you can see some of the pop-ups, some of the chats. Since it's not working, that keeps throwing me off too. Anyway, we'll put that there. So yeah, Dakota Hope versus Kai Kamaka in that first fight of the night. And then we got Dione Barbosa versus Melissa Gatto happening in the women's division, the flyweight division. This should be a good grappling matchup. 8-4 for Barbosa, 9-2 for Gatto. Gatto has 4-0 by submission, 3-0 by TKO. She's never been finished. 2-2 by decision. She's 3-2 in the UFC. coming off a win by TKO in her last fight against Tamires Vidal. And Barbosa is also 2-2 in the UFC, coming off a loss for her though to Karine Silva. Let's see the cat. Yeah, I'm thinking Gato might have the edge on this one as well. Barbosa's aggressive with her ground game, but Gato I think has a lot more skills on the ground and good solid experience. I think whoever takes the top position on the ground is probably going to get the win here, unless it turns into a stand-up battle, because they are both good on the ground. So we might get a decent stand-up fight. Barbosa's 4-0 by submission, so she's never been submitted. So maybe they cancel each other out on the ground and we get a stand-up fight, which might not be the best, but could turn out decent. Who knows? We'll see. Next up, we got Azamat Bakoev versus Tracian Gore. This one's I think Bakoev's definitely got a strong edge on this one. Tracian Gore just has not been impressive whatsoever. He's explosive in the beginning, but he's super inconsistent. He doesn't seem to do well after the first couple minutes of the fight. His past fights have just been not great. He has knockout power, but I think Bakoev is a little more consistent. And yeah, Gore gasses out big time. All he has to do is get it out of the first round, get past Gore in the first round, and I think he'll have it in the bag. What he does with it past then, I don't know. Tracian Gore is 2-4 in the UFC. He's on a 2-fight losing streak, one by TKO and one by decision. He missed weight in his last fight, so he'll be definitely pressured to make that weight this time around, while Bakoev is 2-1 in the UFC, coming off his first loss in the UFC to Yusuri Bulgari, who we saw was pretty impressive in his last fight, and he lost to TKO by him in the third round, which is kind of what Bulgari does from what I was saying last week. So yeah, we'll see. I think Bakoev's definitely gonna wait it out, be strategic, and get Gore to do what he normally does, which is gas out. And then as long as he survives that first barrage, I hate how they're doing this to Gore. Yeah, unfortunately, when you have all that hype around you and then you don't show much, and especially when it becomes a cardio issue and stuff like that, they're just kind of like, well, listen, if you gas out early and you are not getting those exciting wins, it's tough to have the UFC really stay in there and ready to keep you active and give you good fights. So he needs to turn it around with a win here, otherwise he'll be in trouble for getting cut, and it is unfortunate, but that's how it goes, man. I like he's 6'4" and they give him this. Yeah. The other half of the prelims, we got Ellis Pereira versus Haley Cohen. This is a kind of one of those breakout fights for these girls. Both of them are looking to get a good finish and do something to really stand out. I would say let's see, who would I don't know. 5-1 for Pereira, and I'm sorry, 6-1 for Pereira, 7-4 for Cohen. I feel like Pereira's kind of a little more technical and a little more composed, but I think Cohen is, maybe she's the more dangerous one a little bit earlier in the fight. She's got a little more explosiveness. I think Pereira is a little more controlled. Let's see, she's coming off of a loss. Her only fight in the UFC was to Montse Rendon, who got cut, actually. She got cut from the UFC. So that's Pereira's only fight. It was a split decision loss. So, and then Cohen is coming off of a loss as well. 2 losses in a row. She lost by decision to Jamie Lynn Horth, where she missed weight, and then she came back, made weight, and lost to Nora Cornelli by submission. So she really needs a win here, and I think Pereira is really looking to make a splash and looks to impress in this one. So it should be a decent fight because they both have something to get out there and prove. So it could be a decent fight. Next up, we have Lando Venata versus Darius Flowers. Venata's 12-7. Flowers is 12-8. You know, Venata used to be like one of those guys that was super dangerous. Like, you know, he would pull out these wins out of nowhere, but that was earlier in his career. He's 4-7 in the UFC. He's on a 2-fight losing streak where he lost by submission to Charles Jourdain, and then lost a decision to Daniel Zellhuber. He hasn't won since 2021, and he's kind of been on a win-loss type of streak, except for this last one where he's on a 2-fight losing streak. So I feel like he had a lot of promise in the beginning, and then it kind of just dwindled a little bit. He had a bunch of bonuses in a row in the beginning, and I think that's why there was a lot of hype around him. But yeah, he just kind of dwindled a bit, so he's looking to get back in that win column and not get the Lando's debut versus Tony. I think that's where he impressed a lot, because he had Tony on the ropes on that one, man. So Darius Flowers is coming in at 0-3. So both of these guys, it's like a must-win situation for these guys, because I feel like both of them are in trouble here if they lose. 2 submissions and 1 decision in those 3 losses for Flowers. His last one being a submission to Evan Elder. He hasn't fought since 2024, so we'll see how he comes back. Nickel looks like Cub Swanson. Yeah, a little bit. That's kind of weird, huh? He really does. Yeah, I'm all looking at my reference picture over here to make sure it's the right one. It definitely is. I didn't even notice that at first. That's a good shout there, Antoine. He does look like Cub in that picture. But yeah, Darius Flowers versus Lando Venata, that's going to be a tough fight for both of them, because they're definitely looking to get in that win column, because they're both in a little bit of trouble here in the UFC. I feel like Venata might have the slight advantage here, but we'll have to wait and see what kind of fight we get out of them. Next up is Alexandre Costa versus Stuart Nickel, fighting in the flyweight division. Costa has legit striking, and he's faced some tough competition in the past. Nickel is kind of newer, still trying to prove himself in the UFC. Costa's experience, I think, will give him a slight edge here, and he's got some decent speed as well. So Nickel needs to kind of slow the fight down if Costa comes out swinging, and just make it a tough fight for him. So we'll see how this one shows up. It looks like Nickel is coming in at 0-2 with 2 losses, 1 by submission, 1 by decision. So he's definitely looking to get in that win column. This is one of those fight cards where we got a lot of fighters coming off of losses, and that's kind of what happens at the Apex. Costa's coming off a loss as well by TKO to Alden Correa. So yeah, his last fight before that was to Kevin Borjas, where he got a TKO win in the 2nd round and a performance of the night bonus. So they're both looking to get a win and get out of that loss column. Nickel really needs to get a win, because otherwise that'll be 3 in a row for him. So also, you saw Cub is retiring. Yes, I did. He's fighting on that 327 card, right? That'll be his last one. I hope they give him a good send-off, because he deserves it, and it'd be nice to see him win. But when you get to this, he's fighting Nate the Train, Nate Landwehr. That's a tough fight, but that could make it exciting. Cub will get into those wars, but he has to be careful. So hopefully he's not too careful where it winds up being kind of a boring fight. But I don't know that Nate the Train is ever involved in a boring fight. So I feel like that's a good possibility for a good retirement for Cub. But also it's dangerous, because Nate the Train is so chaotic, and he just turns everything into a war. So it could be crazy. But Cubs still got the dog in him a little bit, I'm sure. So the most I'd pay for Apex tickets, I don't know, man. I would definitely couple $100. I wouldn't go too much more than that. Do you count Cub as a Hall of Famer, knowing everything he's done in the sport? Yeah, I do think I would, especially if you carry over what he did in the WEC, and I think he did enough in the UFC to prove himself. And I feel like he's one of those guys. there's a lot of those guys from way back in the day that came over from the WEC, those lighter weight guys that I feel like deserve to be there just because they're somewhat of pioneers, you know. They started those really lightweight divisions. So because he's in the fight wing. His fight with Duo Choi. Oh yeah. Yeah, and I think he's done enough. It's tough, man. It's just so like, I don't know. It's so back and forth with who belongs in the Hall of Fame or not. I think it'd be more interesting if we had an entire like MMA Hall of Fame. The UFC Hall of Fame, though, at least because it's the biggest, you know, organization out there still going, you know. All right, Infinity. I mean, it counts for sure. It's just, to me, Jim Miller is a Hall of Famer. I don't care what anybody says. I think he's done enough. Look at everything he's done. He's fought in UFC 100, 200, and 300. It's crazy. The amount of fights he's had. I think he belongs there. Just out of pure experience and the amount of crazy fighters that he's fought, the amount of crazy fights he's been involved with. But that's just my opinion. So, moving on, the last fight of the prelims, we have Guilherme Pat versus Thomas Peterson in the heavyweight division. And yeah, I mean, it has potential to be kind of a sloppy fight if they get into, you know, if they get into the clinch and are not throwing or exchanging punches. Pat's undefeated, 6-0, which makes it interesting. Let's see what he's done in the past. He's 1-0 in the UFC. He had the decision win over Alan Fry Jr. But before that, he had a bunch of TKO wins. Only one other decision mixed in there. So he does have a lot of finishes. And he'll be looking to get his first finish in the UFC against Thomas Peterson, who's 10-4, coming in at 2-3 in the UFC. He's coming off a loss to Vitor Petrino, which is a tough opponent, but then he's fighting an undefeated guy like Pat. But he won a decision over Dontel Mays before that. He's been on a win-loss type of streak, and I feel like, I mean, this has potential because they're big, heavy guys and heavyweight guys, and they, you know, they both have finishes, so you know they have the power behind, you know, in the heavyweight division. That's how it is. So there's a potential there for a good fight, but will it be a good fight? Because Pat's coming off a decision, and Peterson won his last two fights by decision, so he hasn't gotten a finish in the UFC either. So both of them are looking to get their first finish. That would be a great way to bounce forward in the UFC, is to get a big finish here, and with the featured prelim spot, you know, take us into the main card with an exciting knockout. That would be awesome. That'd be the right way to go for this one. So hopefully that's what we get out of it. Let's get over to the main card fights, starting with Jose Delgado versus Robert Ruchula. We got Delano on a 4-fight win streak, making his UFC debut, so 4 wins outside of the UFC. Ruchala is coming off a loss. He's 0-1 in the UFC, so he's only had that one fight that he lost. He's never been submitted, but 1 TKO, 3 wins in both those categories, and 5-1 by decision for Ruchala. And then we got Delano, 4-1 by KO TKO, 5-1 by sub, 7-1 by decision. Again on that 4-fight win streak. So these guys are, you know, trying to, well, Delano's definitely trying to make a splash in the UFC with his debut against Ruchala, who's fought once before. And I feel like, you know, coming in from KSW for Ruchala, he was 11-2 there. He's got legit experience against, you know, tough opponents and competition, but, you know, just coming into the UFC and getting a loss in your first one kind of sucks. You know, because then people kind of doubt you, wonder if you're, you know, if you can withhold against the competition in the UFC. but sometimes it takes a couple fights for the guys to get used to it and really prove themselves. So he's only 27, so he's got some time. Delano's coming in at 29 for his UFC debut, but he's got 19 fights total, and he's looking to make a big splash in the UFC with his debut. Let's see. Let me move. There we go. Okay. I want to make sure the chat was up on that one. But Delano's coming in. I think he's coming from the Contender Series. Yeah. Where he got a win by decision. But I don't remember Manuel Exposito. I'm trying to remember that fight. Looks like there's so many fights in the Contender Series unless you stand out big time, which, I mean, this could have been a great fight considering it looks like he bloodied up his opponent quite a bit. I don't remember specifically his fight. I remember his name though, so that's weird but yeah, he fought in the LFA before he got into the UFC. And Ruchala, like I said, coming out of KSW, he was I said 11-2 earlier. I read the wrong thing. He's actually 8-1 in KSW and 0-1 in the UFC. So he was a champion over in KSW, and he's looking to bring his skills over into the UFC. He suffered that first loss, but he's gonna try to get a win here over the guy making his debut, or else he's gonna wind up at 0-2. So that would suck for him. We'll see what happens there. That's your first fight of the main card in the flyweight division. Next up, we got Tommy McMillan versus Manolo Zecchini. McMillan, you can tell just by the looks of him. McMillan is kind of one of these crazy guys. He's coming out of Sugar Sean's camp. He says he's the most degenerate fighter in the UFC, which is kind of hilarious. Seems like he's a real big betting guy, so let's hope he doesn't get himself into any trouble with the betting when it comes to fighting in the UFC, because they've gotten a little more stringent with that. But it sounds like he's a big betting guy. So he's making his UFC debut. He's 9-0 overall, coming out of the Contender Series where he looked pretty good. He had a really good fight in the Contender Series and he stood out regardless of his looks. It's funny because in his Tapology page, he has 0 tattoos. He has blonde hair. He kind of looks like Bryce Mitchell a little bit in his picture in Tapology, but I messed up that win column. Damn it. That's okay. It's because it says that here, but that's counting a bunch of other fights that don't matter. I mean, technically he's, on a 9-fight win streak, because outside of the UFC, he's 9-0. So he's looking to make his UFC debut and keep that undefeated record. He's got 3 wins by KO TKO, 5 wins by sub, and 1 win by decision. So it seems like he's more into getting finishes, which is awesome because that's what we need in the UFC. But his Contender Series fight was that 1 decision win. Before that, he had 4 submission wins in a row, and then 3 TKO wins in a row before that. So he definitely gets finishes. He didn't do that in do you think the Apex at least has potential? I mean, sure, there's been some great fights in the Apex, but I just don't like it. I like it better when there's a big crowd. It feels like there's more at stake. You know what I mean? He's in his prime at 28. What do you think the best age range to debut? I think debuting at like somewhere between like 24, 26 is good. 28's not bad. They say you hit your prime in combat sports or in fighting like around, like 28 to 30, somewhere in there is where you really hit your prime. But I feel like starting in the UFC at like 23, I think 24 is a good age to start in the UFC and make your debut, anywhere between 24, 26, because then you still have some good time in your 20s before you hit your 30s. Get some time in there to really get the experience and feel things out a little more. And, because if you're riding a high being an undefeated fighter like McMillan coming in at that age, you might feel a little hard pressed to make sure, a little more pressure to keep that undefeated record and and feel like once you lose, it might start to dwindle for you. Because at 28, you start thinking about 30. You start wondering things. But then again, you know, who knows? Everybody's different. What do you think is the prime for MMA? For me, it's 27 to 33. Yeah, I think that sounds about right. You know, maybe, yeah, 27 to 30. Yeah, that makes sense. I'll agree with that. Pineapple pizza? Yeah, I've had it. I'm not a big fan. But McMillan, like I said, coming in at undefeated. He's fighting Manolo Zucchini, who is 0-1 in the UFC, 11-4 overall. He's coming off that loss, his only fight in the UFC, obviously. And he lost to Morgan Charrier, which is a tough opponent to make your UFC debut on. He lost it by body kicks in the first round. So, you know, McMillan seems like more of a ground guy, but if he takes into consideration what Charrier was doing, I'm not sure if he can take advantage of that. But Charrier is a different kind of fighter when it comes to those kicks, especially to the body. So Zucchini might have he might either have a weakness there, or Charrier is just that good with the body kicks. You never know, but we'll see. We got to see a little more out of Zucchini, and he's 9-2 by KO TKO, so it looks like he's a little more of a stand-up fighter. 1-1 by sub and 1-1 by decision. 29 years old, and I feel like if McMillan can get it to the ground, it might be his best bet. But you know, he did have a pretty decent stand-up fight in the Contender Series. You know, he seems like one of those guys that doesn't care about getting hit. You know, he's busted up in this picture and he still got the win. So he's definitely a wild one. He's a wild card for sure. You never really know what he's gonna do, but we'll see what Zucchini can come in and do, if he can spoil that UFC debut of McMillan. I don't know that there's a whole lot more to go off of there, considering both these guys have a total of 1 fight in the UFC combined. But Zucchini hasn't fought since 2023, which is kind of crazy. So I mean, we'll see how he comes back in. It's been a while since he's fought, and he hasn't been very active, obviously, while McMillan, you know, is coming off that Contender Series win not that long ago. So yeah, I mean, this is one of those fights you just want to watch and see what happens. I think McMillan has a lot of character though, and he's one of those guys, if you're into that wild craziness, he's definitely one of those guys. He's a funny guy at times, and he's definitely has a personality that keeps you interested. So he's gonna probably be looking to get it to the ground though, and you know, he can make it interesting because he can also handle things on the feet. So we'll see how that one goes. Moving on to Ethan Ewing versus Rafael Estevam, and Ethan Ewing coming off that win over Malcolm Wellmaker. Wellmaker was, you know, undefeated until he met up with Ethan Ewing, and they had the whole storyline of, you know, Wellmaker being the construction guy while Ewing being the safety guy. And me knowing what that kind of dynamic is, it sucks to see the safety guy win. But that's besides the point. He did look good. He was able to withstand that big right hand of Wellmaker, and Wellmaker really reacted to the fact that he landed that punch on Ewing, and Ewing didn't seem too fazed by it. You can kind of see the surprise, the element of surprise on Malcolm Wellmaker's face. And I feel like at that point, the tides really changed in that fight, and Wellmaker lost a little confidence, considering everyone else he's landed that punch on has gone down, and in a big way. So I feel like that really just kind of slowed him down, and Ethan Ewing did a great job in that fight. So he comes in at 1-0 in the UFC with a big win over a huge prospect like Malcolm Wellmaker. And you know, he's never been finished on the feet. He's 1-1 by submission and 2-1 by decision. 6 wins by KO TKO, which is, you know, pretty damn good. He went to decision with Wellmaker But that's way more than anyone else has done with Wellmaker. So, whoops, I clicked on the wrong one. So that's definitely something to keep in mind, because Rafael Estevam is undefeated completely. So Ewing has this unique opportunity that not a lot of guys get, to be the undefeated fighter, you know, the kryptonite to every undefeated fighter. So if he's able to beat Estevam here, that's 2-0 against 2 undefeated fighters. And yeah, you saw Ethan quit his job with the blessing of his SVP, like he'll let him come back. Oh yeah, that's pretty cool. Throwing him into the fire with this matchup. Yeah, but I think what they saw from him with Wellmaker, I think they're like, hey, listen, we have potential. This is the kind of thing that elevates a guy who's making, you know, who's early in his career in the UFC. This is something that gets a guy springboarded quickly. And if they see, maybe they're just testing that out to see if he's going to be one of those guys that's going to rise to the top quickly. I don't always agree with that, especially putting him against a guy who, I mean, 14-0. I don't even think Malcolm Wellmaker had that many fights. Let me look. Well, Wellmaker was 10-0. So, you know, not that far off, but 4 fights, you know, and still 4 extra fights and still being undefeated is kind of crazy. But yeah, Estevam is just a different type of fighter too. You know, he's a grappling heavy type guy. You know, he likes to have the control. He'll shoot for the takedowns and get them, and then he smothers opponents quite a bit. I mean, he's got 4 wins by KO TKO, but 3 wins by submission. But I mean, when you have 7 wins on top of that by decision, you know, that's kind of the thing. So it does suck, because, you know, Ewing got the stand-up guy in his last fight, and now he's going to get tested with the takedown artist. So that's going to make it a little bit difficult for him, or we're going to see him rise to that occasion as well. And if that's the case, then that's what's going to make Ethan Ewing one of those interesting guys that just came out of nowhere. So is that going to be what happens here? I don't know. But like I said, he can make a name for himself coming in as the undefeated killer, the killer of the undefeated records, and the big name, you know, the dominant guys, you know, one on the feet, one on the ground. You know, you put those 2 things together, then you know, you're looking at Ethan Ewing as being one of those guys that's going to get another crazy matchup and see what he can do with it. And the UFC is notorious for doing that kind of thing. They will test a guy like this over and over and over again until he loses, to see how he loses, how he handles that loss, and see what they can do with him from there. At least that's how it used to be. So we'll see if that's kind of what they do with Ethan Ewing, especially giving him a fight like this. It, you know, like Antoine said, it's they're throwing him in the fire with this matchup. But that's kind of what I think a lot of people thought with the Malcolm Wellmaker matchup as well. Being on short notice against a heavy hitter like Wellmaker, who's coming in and just been nothing but impressive. But he rose to the occasion, so maybe he can do that again here. Estevam just being undefeated, the elite grappler that he is. He's a little bigger than Ewing, but Ewing, you know, he's an explosive striker. He's dynamic and he's dangerous everywhere. So he might be that guy, you know. He might be that guy that Estevam can't neutralize with wrestling, and Ewing, you know, he could become the guy who can stuff all the takedowns and expose Estevam with frustrating him with not allowing those takedowns, and then, you know, handing him his first defeat. So it definitely is interesting. It's an interesting matchup, and we'll see if Ethan Ewing comes out ahead on this one. That would definitely propel him a little further, a little quicker, and we'll see what kind of matchup they give him after that. Moving on, we have the hardest name to say on the fucking entire damn card, Abdul Rahman Yakayev, I believe, versus Brenton Hibero. Yakayev's coming off a win while Hibero's on a 2-fight losing streak. as you can see, you have any friends who work construction? Yeah, I have a few. Nothing too crazy though. I think I don't know, I might be the one that works in more of a construction style job than any of my friends. Yeah, so but we got Rakayev coming in undefeated, another undefeated fighter, 8-0. He's 1-0 in the UFC. Mixes it up quite well. He's got 3 wins by KO TKO, 4 wins by sub, and 1 win by decision. Coming off a win, obviously. And then we got Brenton Ribeiro, a lot more fights under his belt, 17-9 overall, 2-4 in the UFC. He's on that 2-fight losing streak. 9-5 by KO TKO, 7-2 by sub, and 1-2 by decision. And we got Yakayev coming off that win over Rafael Carcaria, where he got a submission win by rear naked choke. Oops. There we go. What's the craziest day you ever had on the job? It would have been probably this like 16 to 18 hour day that I had where I was on call and got called. No, total. So then one night I got called in at like 11 at night to go to a super remote site that's dark as shit. That sucked, and I was there for a while, so I didn't go to bed till late. And then this was on a Friday, and then on the Saturday, I think I got called out again. It's more like a weekend than a day, but it all felt like one day because then I had to wind up going out of town for about a 5-hour drive on a Sunday just to go fix something. It was dumb. It's one of the dumbest things I've ever had to do. I called it my hell weekend of on call. It was the worst. Outside of my journalism career, and I work at a FedEx on the side, and I moved 72 boxes by myself into a room deep into. Ugh, that sucks. My daughter does Amazon deliveries, so yeah, she has some stories. Yeah, it's crazy, but anyway, we got Yakayev is coming off that win over Carcaria by submission, while Ribeiro's on that 2-fight losing streak, and he lost to Omar Sy by TKO and Azamat Mirzakhanov by TKO in his last 2 fights. So he's definitely looking to get a win. But Yakayev, you know, like I said, he's got wins under his belt with submissions and TKOs and KOs. So, you know, he could definitely come in and get the win over Brenton Ribeiro. His last win was by sub and decision. I'm trying to remember what his last win. That I can't remember that fight for some reason, but he's been on lose 2, win 2, lose 2. So if he stays on that track, I mean, he's due to win. But against Yakayev, who's undefeated, it's going to be a tough fight for him. Back-to-back losses, and he just struggles with grappling a little bit. So Yakayev definitely has those kind of. When you get home, what did you do after a day on the job like that? Just crash? No, I try to, not really. I mean, I'm not one of those. I'll try to sit down and chill, but then it'll be like, I'll feel like I haven't been able to do anything all day, so I want to try to get some shit done, but it just depends on timing and stuff. But yeah, I guess I'll try to sit and chill, but I definitely won't like go to bed or nothing. That's just not me. It always, if there's time to spend with everyone, I'll do that. Tyler Betts, what's up? In my early 20s, run 4 miles and go to boxing class or BJJ. Nowadays, drink a beer and put on cornrows. Right on, Tyler. I appreciate that. Yeah, man. When you get older, it gets tough. I understand that for sure. It definitely gets tough. Yeah, so Yakayev, undefeated. Ribeiro, inconsistent, questionable defense and wrestling, so it's going to be tough against Yakayev. I don't know. This one could be definitely a boring fight, unfortunately. It does have that potential, but with Yakayev being 8-0 and Ribeiro coming off of 2 losses, there is a potential for a finish here. But we'll move on to the co-main event, and that is Virna Jandiroba versus Tabitha Ricci. To clarify, earlier meant Edwin Diaz, the closer bullpen walkout with Timmy Trumpet. Man, you have some obscure references sometimes. All is good, but I appreciate it. I just wish I knew. I wish I knew what the hell you were talking about, because I don't. I'm not much of a historian for the most part. There's a lot of times where I'm like, I'll remember some crazy obscure shit, but then there's other stuff that I just don't remember. Edwin Diaz sounds familiar. The closer bullpen walkout. Okay, so he's a baseball guy. Okay, yeah, but I'm just not well versed in all of that. So unfortunately, my memory's horrible, man. I don't know. It's tough. My brain just picks and chooses what it wants to remember. Anyway, we got Virna Jandiroba versus Tabitha Ricci. Tabitha Ricci, like, damn. Watch those weigh-ins. I'll tell you that. Not the ceremonial weigh-ins, but the actual weigh-ins when they actually have to make the weight. You definitely want to watch those weigh-ins. Or at least tune into that Instagram after the weigh-ins, because she always puts up the video there, and I promise you, the angles are good. So check that out. Anyway, Tabitha Ricci is the girlfriend of Kellum Walsh, who's been one of the stars in Zuffa Boxing. So, but yeah, she's great on her own. She's on coming off a win, while Virna Jandiroba is coming off that loss to Mackenzie Dern. And was it Mackenzie Dern? Was her last fight? I believe so, right? Yes, Mackenzie Dern. That was when they fought for the vacant title. So she's 22-4 overall, 8-4 in the UFC. She's never been finished on the feet. She's never been finished at all. She's only lost by decision, 7-4. She's 14-0 by submission, which is something Tabitha Ricci's gonna have to be careful of. But Ricci's never been finished by submission, so she's got 3 wins there, no losses. She's only been finished on the feet once. She's 2-1 there, but most of her wins come by decision, where she's 7-2, as well as Virna, who is 7-4. But Virna Jandiroba's obvious statistic to watch out for is that submission column, where she's got 14 wins and never lost. Jandiroba has an Adam's apple. Oh shit. Oh, Tyler, fuck. That is crazy, man. I forgot you were there. That's insane, bro. I'm fucking jealous, because that was a sick ass fight card, man. You got to be there for 9 fucking finishes, and the entire main card being full of finishes. That must have been insane. That must have been insane. Hey, shout it out right now. Where are you posting this footage? Because we want to see. So if let us know if it's on Instagram and what your handle is, or where you're posting it, because I would definitely like to see it. Anyway, I did see some people posting some stuff on TikTok where there was some people that put together some things on there. My YouTube channel. Oh, okay, right on. Yeah, I'll definitely have to check that out then. So yeah, I mean, that's definitely interesting. What kind of, well, I guess we'll wait and see what kind of seats you had. Did you have seats that you wanted to zoom in from, or did you have seats where you just straight up took the video and didn't need a zoom? I mean, that shit was expensive. I think you said it earlier, but prices, I think you said it was $1,000 for 2 tickets. So yeah, but that's cool. Anyway, back to this fight. We got Ricci versus Jandiroba, and Jandiroba obviously is going to be wanting to come off of that loss for the title against Mackenzie Dern, which she did well, but I mean, Mackenzie was just the better fighter that day. Before that loss, she was on a 5 fight win streak with wins over a lot of good names: Angela Hill, Marina Rodriguez, Lupi Godinez, Amanda Lemos, and Yan Xiaonan. And then she lost to Mackenzie Dern. That was her second loss to Mackenzie Dern as well. So Mackenzie Dern just seems to have her number. But Tabitha Ricci, she's so fast, and she's so fast, and she has some really crisp striking. So as I'm like whistling with my S's there, my bad. All I'll say, I was watching the big TV for the girls and smaller fighters and watching the cage for the big boys. Okay, so you're somewhere in between. That's cool. That's to be expected, man, with those fucking with those fucking prices for tickets. Crazy. Cop 2 dope shirts. I got one of the UFC Seattle shirts with my mount. Oh, nice. That's awesome. Oh, I see, because Antoine was asking. Cool. I was like, what? Yeah, merch is like, my daughter, when she goes to any show of any sort, whether it's a concert or a fight or anything like that, she's always getting merch. I don't know. I just never know what to do with it. So I have some shirts, but I don't have a bunch. I don't know. Merch isn't my thing, I guess, but sometimes I wish it was. But anyway, yeah. So I mean, Ricci, if she comes out looking like she has in her recent fights, I feel like she could definitely get a hold of Jandiroba before she gets her to the ground. I mean, as I said, Ricci's never been finished on the ground, so that's a plus. But Jandiroba's a different kind of ground fighter with those 14 wins, high level black belt, 14 submissions, and when she gets top position, it's usually like game over at some point for the other fighter. But if Ricci can stay off the ground and get back up quickly, if she does get taken down, she has a chance to have a good fight on the feet and maybe catch Virna a couple times and be able to wobble her, and if she gets it to the ground and pound her out, or at least put some damage on her to get through the 3 rounds and win by decision. That's how we get a lot of women's fights. But when it comes down to it, I think Ricci has a pretty well-rounded game. The striking is a plus for her. She throws a lot of volume, and she's pretty accurate. So she has a lot of average of good significant strikes. And Jandiroba just doesn't put a lot of output out on the feet. So who wins currently, Bo Nickel or Izzy? Yeah, I mean, I would go with Izzy. I think seeing what happened with Bo Nickel and RDR, I think Izzy could definitely catch Bo, but it would be tough because if Bo's able to get in on Izzy quickly, it would be frustrating for Izzy, because we saw what happens when people get Izzy down. They're probably gonna do that fight if Izzy. I mean, I think if the UFC wants to not see an exciting fight, then yeah, give him that fight. But I don't think that's a good fight for Izzy. Just in the manner of, I don't know, maybe his experience would overwhelm him. Maybe that's how he could find his weight. But I think Bo is such a high level wrestler that he might be able to get in on Izzy quickly. And we've seen Izzy kind of lost a step here, maybe half a step at least, just enough for him to not be able to, defend those takedowns enough. I mean, Joe Pyfer is a fucking high level guy at this point, and I feel like he's very good in wrestling and grappling more than we thought. So Izzy versus Charo would be sick. That's a good shout right there. I actually like that one, John. That would be better. That would be better than Bo. It's just that Bo has the potential to get in on Izzy quickly, and that could mean a long night for Izzy and a bad night for Izzy. So they're probably gonna do that. That's kind of realistic, John, but I'd much rather see Izzy versus Shara. Oh, okay. So Tyler said it right on. Yeah. That would be dope. But if Dawkins beats Bo, I wonder what they're gonna do with Dawkins. I don't know, man, because Dawkins kind of out of nowhere gets this fight with Bo. So yeah, it's tough. That's a tough one. I'd have to really look it over to see what they could possibly do with Dawkins after he would get that win, if he gets that win. Do you think Izzy headlines another fight night or fights on a numbered card? I don't know that he headlines another fight night. I think if anything, they might put him lower on a numbered card, or I think they're gonna keep him for lower, like a opening fight on a numbered card or something. I mean, I don't think they're gonna take him to prelims just yet, but you never know. If they have a really stacked card where they want to stack the card, like 327, I could see them putting him in the prelims. Yeah, it's definitely it's tough. So Yeah, back to this though. I do think if it hits the ground, it's gonna be tough for Ricci. But I think on the feet, she's gonna definitely, if she can get a hold of Virna like she did against Hebos. Hebos kind of stands in front and doesn't get off that center line though. But Virna's not the best stand-up fighter for the most part. But I mean, she's been able to withhold throughout the other, pretty big names that she's fought against. So I think that she has better potential than Hebos did against Ricci. But if Ricci comes out with that crisp striking that she's had in the past and that speed being up to par like she's been in the past, I think she might be able to catch Virna early. She just needs to stay away from getting taken down early, and that would be good. So let's move on to the main event and wrap it up. We got Renato Moicano versus Chris Duncan. Kind of a, for me, I feel like it's kind of one of those it's a weird matchup a little bit. I mean, because Moicano's coming off of a 2-fight losing streak, you know what I mean? And yeah, those are big fights that he's coming off of these losses to. So, and Duncan is on a 4-fight win streak. But with Moicano having lost to Beneil last, like, that's a little bit tough, man. Like, I would have maybe given him somebody, I don't know. I mean, I guess Chris Duncan isn't one of those guys that's like making major headlines right now. But he's on a 4-fight win streak regardless. He's 6-1 in the UFC. He's only got 1 loss by sub and 1 loss by KO TKO. Most of his wins have come by KO TKO, and he's got 4 wins in both submission and decision. He's never lost by decision. Moicano's got a ton of fights, man. 20-7 overall, 12-7 in the UFC, 2-3 by KO TKO. So the stand-up game's not great, and then you're putting him against a guy who has the most wins by stand-up. But I mean, Moicano's got 10 wins by submission, while Chris Duncan's been submitted once and only has 4 wins there. And then he's 8-3 by decision. UFC dropped the ball not having Patty and Moicano as tough coaches. Yeah, I mean, I guess that could have been good. Moicano would have just been nonstop speeches. But yeah, I don't know how I feel about this matchup. I don't really like it that much, I would say. I feel like with Duncan being on the roll that he's on, with Moicano kind of being on the downswing right now. I mean, obviously with that fight against Makhachev, it was a last minute, kind of fight, replacement fight. He did his best or whatever, I guess, but being Darce choked in the first round, he lasted 4 minutes, of course, and it was it was just a tough one for him. And then to come back and get decisioned by Beneil Dariush, who we saw what's happened to him in his past couple fights. You think so, Tyler? This card low-key a sleeper banger? I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't feel like it is. But I hope I'm wrong. I really do hope I'm wrong, because I would prefer to talk a lot of shit about it being a shitty card and then have it turn out to be a banger. I would rather that. So I hope I'm wrong, but I just don't feel like there's a lot here. There's not a lot to work with. So unless Moicano turns it up and becomes the Moicano of old, where he, against BSD, against Jalen Turner, those fights, Brad Riddell, I mean, those fights that he had, especially I think Turner and BSD, those are some great fights for him. If he turns it back up to be that, which he needs to, because he's on a 2-fight losing streak, I think the UFC would give him an extra chance, just because of the Makhachev fight, stepping in on that one or whatever. But I feel like he just definitely needs to get in that win column. He needs to turn it back up to the level he was at against Turner and BSD, and just show what he can do again. Is Chris Duncan the guy he can do that against? I don't know, because he's on a 4-fight win streak, and I'm sorry, he's at a 3-fight win streak because wait, hold on. He's 6-1. No, he's on a 4-fight win streak. Yeah. Okay, I thought I had that wrong. And he's three of those 4 fights are finishes, all by submission. So, if this becomes a ground game fight, it could get interesting, considering all of Duncan's wins in his past 4 fights have been by submission. Terrence McKinney by Anaconda, Jordan Vucenic by guillotine, and Balaji Oki by guillotine. And those were all first and second round finishes. And then the one decision in between was to Mateusz Rebecki by decision. But he got a fight of the night bonus on that one. And he got a performance of the night bonus against Oki. His last loss was in 2024 by submission to Manuel Torres, who got his first submission loss, or gave Chris Duncan his first submission loss. So, you know, that's what makes this interesting, because his last loss was by submission, but his last 3 of his last 4 wins were by submission. So this could get interesting for sure. You know, he's a high output striker with the dangerous ground game, but that kind of describes both of them. I think Moicano can be versatile at times, and he can be, you know, creative and do some interesting things with his striking and, you know, his ground game. But it just seems like he's slowed down a bit, you know, and his last 2 fights have really just, I feel like the Makhachev fight really just put a damper on him. Coming back and losing to Dariush like that, especially with the way Dariush has looked, it's tough. Duncan said they're really close. It's weird since he's oh yeah, because they both came out of ATT. Yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, I am kind of, like Tyler said, I'm kind of rooting for Moicano too. I don't know Duncan very well, but I mean, what he's shown in his past 4 fights is pretty impressive. So I just think that Duncan is pretty dangerous on the feet and on the ground. I don't know that he's been tested as in the same manner that Moicano has been, but like I said, Moicano feels like he's lost half a step or so, and things have just been downhill a little bit since that Makhachev fight. So I would love to see Moicano come back on top. I love listening to him. Like, even though some of the shit he says after his fight, it's just hilarious to watch him stand up there. Moicano's well-read mane.
What's happening with you, man?
Yeah, I mean, he's a smart dude. It's just, you know, English being a second language makes it a little bit tough. But you know, you just listen to him say Bitcoin a couple times, because he says Bitcoin and it's hilarious. But that's just Portuguese coming out. Anyway, this has potential to be a good fight. I hope it is, and you know, we'll see how Moicano can do. Can he bounce back from those 2 losses in a row, or will Chris Duncan get a fifth win in a row and, you know, really put a stamp on Moicano at this point? I don't know that Moicano would get cut, but I do think that he's definitely going to be hard pressed to get a win if he loses this one again. So yeah, what's up, Yuri? Welcome back, appreciate you. Do you watch the Show Me the Money podcast? I don't actually. I've never actually caught it. I've seen clips of it, but I've never watched the whole thing. Have you watched it? Is it any good? Maybe I'll have to start. But let's get to this fight wheel predictions so we can get out of here. I was telling people that Islam would beat Moicano, and so many people doubted me. yeah. That was a bad. It's tough because it was last minute, you know, like, you know, late replacement type shit. Makes it tough. But let's see if the fight wheel can do better do as good this week, if not better, considering last week was 4-2 for the fight wheel predictions. A lot better than the few weeks before that, where it was like 1-5, and yeah, 1-5 I think both weeks before that. Oh, okay. Ilya would beat Moicano? Probably. Yeah, at this point I know 100% Ilya would beat Moicano. Yeah. All right, so let's get to these fight wheel predictions real quick, and then we'll wrap it up. So, fight wheel predictions: UFC Vegas 115, Moicano versus Duncan. We got 6 main card fights, and we're starting with the main event, and that is Chris Duncan beating Renato Moicano to give him 3 losses in a row. That's tough for Moicano, and it's crazy that the fight wheel predicted that first. Oops. So we got Duncan beating Moicano for the first fight wheel prediction. Let's see what else we got. Next up, fight wheel predictions for UFC Vegas 115. Tommy McMillan to beat Manolo Zucchini in his UFC debut. That would hand Zucchini his second loss in a row in the UFC and would give McMillan a win in his UFC debut. So that's your second fight wheel prediction. Two down, 4 to go. Rafael Estevam to beat Ethan Ewing. I don't know. That one to me, McMillan winning feels correct. Duncan winning is a good possibility. Estevam beating Ewing, I feel like, is probably what most people are guessing is going to happen. But I think Ethan Ewing's going to come out with the win. So I doubt that one just a little bit. But it should be interesting. All right. Oh, wait a minute. What just happened? Oh, no, I did it right. Okay. All right, here we go. 3 more fights left. Halfway through. Fight wheel predictions. Braves are looking good, by the way. Oh, yeah, for sure. I'm hoping that they keep it up because they start strong a lot. But Robert Ruchala to beat Jose Delano. That one is kind of a toss-up for me, so we'll just give that one a okay. All right, 2 more left for the fight wheel predictions. Abdul Yakayev to beat Brenton Ribeiro. That makes a lot of sense. I feel like that's probably what's going to happen there. How do I spell that? L-K-H-Y-A-E-V. That's a tough one. All right, so we got the co-main event. Last fight wheel prediction left. Here we go. Tabitha Ricci, Virna Jandiroba. And that is the pick I would make as well. Tabitha Ricci. I feel like it's going to be a tough fight for her, but I would love to see Tabitha Ricci get the win. I mean, that would further put Virna Jandiroba further down for getting another title shot anytime soon. But I would prefer to see Tabitha Ricci win. I respect Jandiroba's skills, but I like Tabitha Ricci more. All right, so for the fight wheel predictions, we got Chris Duncan to beat Renato Moicano in that main event. Tommy McMillan to win in his UFC debut against Manolo Zucchini. Rafael Estevam to beat Ethan Ewing. Robert Ruchala to beat Jose Delano. Abdul Rahman Yakayev to beat Brenton Ribeiro, and then Tabitha Ricci to beat Virna Jandiroba. We'll see how the fight wheel does this week for the fight wheel predictions for UFC Vegas 115. And that about wraps it up. So yeah, I appreciate you guys for all being in here. Please don't forget to thank you 78 Northwest. Appreciate you for always being here and supporting. Don't forget, guys, tomorrow night, 5 p.m. on this channel, I will be live again. So 2 hours earlier than the normal start. I'll be live again with a reverse interview. We'll have DJ Infinity, who's in the chat all the time. You know him. He will be interviewing me for the channel here, and you guys can have your questions ready. So yeah, it's Arizona time at 5 p.m. So whatever time that is for you guys, yeah, check it out. Just hit that notification bell so that way you know when I go live. Be on the lookout for that. And yeah, have some questions ready. The chat will be open. I will make sure I have my chat ready to go here on the screen, hopefully. But I'll try my best to get that started. Appreciate you, Infinity, for doing this interview for me. And we will get that going tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern. Yeah, that makes sense. So there you go. And yeah, it should be fun. So be on the lookout. Tune in tomorrow, guys. Other than that, if you can't make it, watch it later on and leave me a comment, or just make sure you guys like this video and like every video coming up in the future. If you're not already subscribed, please do that as well. That's it for me. I'm out of here. Enjoy the fights this weekend. Hope to see you tomorrow. That's it for me. I'm out of here. Take it easy. Peace.